I've got my plane collection pulled off the shelf to clean them up a little bit and put a little oil on them. I just thought I'd show you some of them now. This is a Stanley 110. These things were made by the thousands. It's just a basic block plane. And this one was probably made back in the 1970s. Has a homemade knob here on the front. And, you know, no adjustments that are built into it. To adjust the blade in and out, you could loosen up the cap iron and just wiggle it around with your fingers, or you could take a small hammer, tap it on the back to move it forward, or laterally just tap it on either side. But that's Stanley's pretty much basic block plane, and almost every other plane manufacturer built something very similar to this. Now, this one, this is a 120 Stanley, and it looks like a 110. Stanley started putting some adjustments on their planes. Now they added this lever here to adjust the blade in and out. The back of the blade, it's you know, you can just adjust or loosen up the cap iron a little bit, and you pull this down or push it up to move the blade in and out, and you still have to tap on the sides of the blade to adjust it laterally. And these are fairly common. You can pick them up. They're not, you know, they're not expensive. And again, another good plane. And then we go up a little bit here. This is a Stanley 220. They made these for a really long time. Now, one of the things, they changed the cap iron. Loosen it up, you just move this lever, loosen it up. And one of the things they did, and this is a fairly early one here. There's this neat little knob on the back here. The back of the blade is like geared, and you can adjust the blade in and out by turning this knob. And again, if you need to move it laterally, you just have to tap it on the side. But that's a nice plane, and they're easy to get a hold of too. Now, this one says it's made in England. Now, this is fairly recently made. You can see it's big and thick casting, clunky. It's essentially like a 110. To adjust it, you got to loosen up the cap iron and just kind of move it around, tap it around. There's no front knob, just a place to put your finger to put pressure on the front. And I never use it. The thing's really heavy. Now this is a Stanley Defiance. Looks like a 110. Now, Stanley made a secondary line of tools named Defiance. They were inexpensive, and they made them from, like, I think the 1920s up to about 1950, 51 when they started using the Handyman name on their cheaper tools. And has an adjustment knob here on the back to adjust the blade in and out. And yeah, you'll come across these. They made bench planes also under the Defiance name, and I have a few of those also, and I mean, they're okay, but it's a neat plane. Now, next one here, this is a little more adjustable plane. This is a Stanley number 9 1/4. And it's missing. It should have a little brass knob right here, which is missing, but it has the cap iron that can be removed by taking the pressure off by moving this lever. Now, one of the things they did, they changed the way to move the blade in and out. They added this threaded post and this knob, which moves this lever in here up and down to move, but they also added this lever here. And this is the lateral adjustment. You don't have to tap it around with the hammer any longer. You can move it left or right to, if you need to adjust the blade to square it up with the mouth. You use this lever, and you know, you can find these. They're not difficult to get a hold of, and there's planes being made today by other companies that have the same sort of thing in them. Now this one, it looks similar to the 9 1/4, and I've actually forgotten what this one is, to be honest with you, but it has another feature. The brass knob here, to loosen it up, you can adjust the throat by adjusting this lever. If you want to try to make it much tighter, you can see that it'll open up, close. You can close it down. That was just another feature Stanley added. Same sort of cap iron as the 9 1/4. You have the adjustment knob here, the lateral adjustment. Just a little bit better plane, a few more features. And they're not hard to get a hold of. There's plenty of them out there. I don't want to forget this little guy. Stanley made a lot of small planes too. This is a 103. You can see how small it is. I got big hands, but it's not very big. You can see. And it also has an adjustment lever to adjust the blade in and out. And again, if you move it laterally, you can just loosen up the cap iron and move it with your fingers or tap it with a small hammer. Now, I've never really found any use for a small plane like this, and that's one reason why I haven't restored this one. I just really didn't have any use for it. So, but it's kind of neat. Now, I've forgotten what the number is on this one, but it's commonly called a Stanley knucklehead. It has this unusual cap iron. You can just tip it up to take the pressure off, push it back down. It also has the adjustable throat. You can open it and close it here. And you have the same sort of adjustment for moving the blade in and out back here, and the lateral adjustment lever right here. It's kind of a neat plane, interesting looking. Other makers made similar planes like this with this type of cap iron. But yeah, it's kind of a neat plane. And they're not difficult to find. Now I got one more Stanley here. This is a Stanley 130. This is a double-ended plane. Now what you can do, this is a regular plane like this. What you can do, you can loosen up the cap iron, take it off, take the blade out. You can move the blade to the back, install the cap iron back here. And what you've done is you've made yourself a bullnose plane. And you can see the blade's pretty close to the end. Comes out right there. So this is kind of a neat one. You come across them. Probably your best bet to find one of these would be on like eBay or someplace like that. But it's kind of a neat plane. It's heavy. You can see how long it is. You know, so you know, I've never used it, but it's neat. That's why I bought it. Now, I have some other Stanley planes. I have some duplicates of the ones I showed you. I also have a box with a bunch in it that are missing parts. I'm not going to show you any of those, but that's kind of like one of each of what I got. And I do have some more. You know, they're not terribly expensive. You go to a flea market and you find a good one for $4 or $5, you got to buy it. I mean, it's just the way it is. But that's kind of a look at the Stanley block planes that I have. I have a number of Sargent block planes, which you can see over here, and I'll do a little short video on those. They're very similar to the Stanleys and the Millers Falls, other companies that were making planes, but they're kind of cool too. So I'm going to end this video right here, and I will make a video on the Sargent planes also.